I've been sitting with this Labelle album for quite some time now. It has been officially out for around a month. I've seen literally no talk on this album from any like music publications out there or any music reviewers. It's a huge shame because honestly, I think if more people caught onto this would be a loved album because I think this is fantastic. This is a modern classical and experimental live piece of music, which is completely compelling from start to finish. I adore the instrumentation across this entire thing. There's some really interesting uses of instruments, as this album is also influenced by Mayola music. One of those genres similarly to Mande music, which I've talked about on this channel before, where I just feel like I definitely need to sit with more albums in this genre to fully get to grips with everything. Yeah, sure, you can definitely appreciate a genre of music without fully exploring that genre of music, but you definitely have a bit more of an understanding and a higher amount of knowledge if you explored that genre before talking about the albums from that same genre. From the get-go, there's just such an interesting sound design on this album, like the usage of instruments here. It just comes together in such a way that is really difficult to describe for me. The opening track has this very whimsical sound to it, which is brought on by all the flutes that are being used and many other instruments that are coming together too, but it slowly like fades into this unsettling mood once you kind of progress into the later tracks. Solo Interpretation, which is track 3, which has this really sharp feel to it, and the tone starts to kind of switch once the violins start like kind of scraping together, and it sort of speeds up and everything kind of gets quite like anxiety inducing, but at the same time you're just absolutely in awe of everything because it just sounds so fucking amazing. It's like the song is counting down to something that's just ready to explode with the way it goes dun 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 dun. It just makes for this amazing moment where you've got all these emotions kind of flooding in your mind, but at the same time you're just in awe of everything. You're waiting for something huge to come. It's like, oh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? It does kind of lead to nothing though with the track Le Moment Present, which is a great sounding song, but I do feel like it kind of ended up being quite anticlimactic to lead into that one. I mean, it's a beautifully arranged track. Like I wouldn't change it because of how great it friggin' sounds. All the instruments again just come together to make this beautiful sound, but I just feel as though it could have kind of like carried on and kept my blood rushing, but unfortunately it didn't. In fact, it probably would have fared up better if you put the 5th track right after the 3rd track and then the 4th track moved along later on in the album or something like that, because the 5th track again has this just absolutely intoxicating rhythm to it. It has this really fast-paced rhythm with the tappity little like percussion going on with the there's some use of electronics on this track as well, which gives off this quite shrill sound, but again really adds to the environment of the album that it's setting itself to be in. It then leads on to Oh, which is absolutely the best track on this album and probably one of my favorite musical pieces of 2019. It's an absolutely intense and riveting track that I am just amazed by. The percussion on this one is so fiery and intense. Reminded me a little bit of that Africa Electrique album that I reviewed earlier in the year. I'm honestly just waiting for that vocalist to come through with some like tribal oh. It just gets really heavy and industrial. The instrumentation is absolutely buzzing on this track. It really is an extremely intense moment on the album. And the track seamlessly moves into the next one, which is more of like that soul introspection type stuff with the violins and the beautiful arrangements and that kind of stuff. And it's important to note at this point that every track is moving at such a quick pace that each track is flowing into one another seamlessly. It's like this one elongated piece of music that's never being given any time to breathe. It's just always moving on to the next thing so quickly. And it flows incredibly well, even though some of these tracks sound completely different to the previous track that was just being played. It's incredibly impressive that the quality remains high on this album throughout, even when some of these tracks are reaching like 7-8 minutes, like the second to last track on this album. Again, this is another track that's constantly changing and switching up with all these different ideas and these different sounds that are coming through. It's really an impressive release, this one. It ends off in a beautiful way as well. I love the final track, how somber the tone is, and the beautiful plucking as well. That just sounds heavenly. Ooh. I absolutely adore this thing, man. Up until the last few moments as well, where you notice that the audience starts clapping on this album, you wouldn't know that this was a live release. Like, this sounds like it's coming straight out of the studio. It really, really sounds that crisp and impressive all the way through. Yeah, I'm loving this. I'm absolutely loving this. I've been sat with this a while, and each time I listen to it, I'm getting so much out of it, and it's just never slowing down. I'm going really high on this one. I'm gonna go 9 out of 10. I absolutely love this thing, and I hope you check it out based on my recommendation. You may not love it as much as I do, but I really hope you do. I really hope you do. Again, it's very sad to see that no one's really talking about this, but hopefully I can kind of like start a bit of a snowball effect here by bringing this up. Maybe more people will talk about it, who knows, but we'll see. But yeah, do check this out. This is definitely worth your time. It's also important to note that this is not the same Labelle that was that girl group from the 70s, by the way. My last FM Scrabble seems to think that this is the same group, but this is absolutely not the same at all. But yeah, thank you for watching my review. This is actually only the second 9 out of 10 I've given this year, so I'm hoping many more come, and I remain to love this one throughout the year as well. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Listen to this album, please. Subscribe and bye.